Today we're here with my friends Bree Singh and Brei Hofeldt. Did I say that right? Okay, I did. Yeah. Brei Hofeldt. And they are you owners of the Karl Malone Training Center?
Yes.
Okay, in Lehigh, there's a place I've been to before. It's actually really cool. And actually, one of my sons was supposed to play a basketball game on Saturday there.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what? This is not the place we've been to. But he ended up being sick, so we didn't go. But it's this huge basketball training center. And you own it with Thurl Bailey? Or what does he have to do with it?
Well, Bree owns it.
Yeah,
well, let's just be clear.
Okay.
Bree owns it. I do not.
Thanks for not taking credit. Bree owns the entire thing.
Yeah.
She has nothing.
Yeah, no, I just.
No, so Thurl is actually just, he comes in and does training there out of the gym a lot. And
You just work with Thurl Bailey, no big deal.
Yeah, he's awesome. And he's kind of been the face of the training program there. So when kids come and want to get privately trained, it's
Privately trained by Thurl Bailey?
Yeah.
Is that so expensive?
It's actually not bad. He's
Really?
very, he's actually really reasonable.
By an NBA legend?
Yeah.
Okay, I might have my bias. It's kind of amazing.
I know.
My coach is Thurl Bailey. It's not a big deal. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and you guys have actually been doing a lot of networking events there too.
Yeah.
And bringing people together. And Bree, when I was reading your bio earlier, it was really cool. You were saying you wanted to bring people together with these networking events because you don't want people to feel left out. Do you mind talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, my heart is like really like, I'm like already in this like, I feel the spirit here. And it's interesting because, so I've struggled with anxiety a lot in my life. And so a lot of people actually don't know that when they first meet me because I come across like super confident. And
so confident.
And they don't realize that I spend a lot of nights, just worried about things that I say to people or about relationships that I have and so so I've struggled with that a lot in my life and even as a kid, but there's one thing that I learned really early on because I moved a lot. I had to make friends wherever I moved. And it was just like, I just had to find a way to become friends with people that in new places that I was going. And so I have really worked on that my whole life. And one thing that I really feel passionate about is making sure that you are friends with everybody and that you seek out sometimes the kids that maybe don't have those kind of relationships. And I went to a high school that was really diverse. So actually I went to 2 different high schools. I went to one in Oregon and I went to one in California. And my Oregon high school was full of really wealthy, white, privileged kids, and it was
white and privileged or white
and privileged
because that's a whole nother podcast.
Okay, we don't need to white and privileged, and I hated it. It was a really tough school for me to be at, and I felt and I have a theory. So anyways, then I moved to California and I went to this really diverse school, and it was we're talking like there was a group of Asians that drove Subarus, and then there was the group of black kids that all hung out together, and then there were the Mormon kids because there was only a few people from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There was like 30 of us that used to hang out together. And because I played basketball and because I'd moved a lot, it was really important for me to continue to make friendships with a lot of different people. And so I kind of hopped at like lunchtime. I had my black friends. I was part of the Black Student Union, the only girl in the Black Student Union.
Wow.
And then I had obviously my LDS friends and my basketball friends. And so this has been like a really big part of my life for a long time. And now when living in a world where a lot of people get a lot of praise when they are the wealthy, the biggest businesses, the best influencers, and a lot of these networking events and things, it's only certain people that are invited to them. It's only certain people. You have to have a certain net worth to come. You have to have a certain... And when Bree and I started becoming friends, I was like, this facility is so great. And she needs relationships with business owners. I was like, let's start doing events where we can bring all of that together, where we can... And our hope is that we do these events where we have big and small business owners, and we have big and small influencers.
And I will say, I met some amazing people at the last event you guys had.
Yeah.
And it was businesses I'd never heard of, so they must be small businesses, but they were fascinating. Like that guy from Russia who overcame addiction.
Yes.
I mean, just really fascinating. Go on. Sorry.
And so that's kind of the route we want to take with these networking events, is that we want everyone to be invited, and we would love for some of the big money people to be there, because these smaller businesses would love to have some relationships like that. And one thing that I've really felt like for a long time, we know like the rich get richer, but why? And a lot of it has to do with they have a lot of money, right? So they can invest it. And a lot of it has to do with who they know, and
everything has to do with who they know.
And it's just like the circles they are in. And so why can't we bring some of these smaller people into these circles? Why?
Totally.
Like I want these smaller businesses to feel like they can come, that they can be invited, and that they can hang with Thurl Bailey, and they can hang with Bronson Kafusi, who's going to be at our next event, and they can hang with these really cool people who've done a lot of cool things, but they can also feel like that they're welcomed and accepted, and that's,
everyone's on an even playing field there.
Yeah,
I love that.
And Thurl does a great job of that. He
does.
sat at the table he did the networking after he
Such a cool
spoke,
guy.
and he makes everyone feel special. Bronson Kafusi does the same thing for people, and so we just want to continue this push of having these events with ex-pro athletes. And other people who have a lot of influence, but to also be in the room with people who don't necessarily have a lot of influence, but have something to give.
Have something to give, and everyone has something to give.
Yes.
That's one thing I will say I've learned from doing this podcast is I could go into any room, any place in the world, and every single person there has a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Everyone does. It's so cool. You know what? I didn't realize this until you were saying this. When we walked in, I think I may have texted you this. Yeah. And Sean, my husband, his name tag, we were laughing so hard because it said "Good Things Spotlight." Never once that was the first time since the dawn of man that we're invited to an event, and it was my thing that was represented.
That's awesome.
I know. So we could not stop laughing. I'm like, he's like, I'm with Good Things Spotlight. Because but that's so cool that I didn't even think about this and the irony of that until you said this, because my rinky-dink little podcast, was the representation. When every event we go to is I'm Sean Clark's wife, And so I was like, this is so funny. But I mean, and he had nothing but respect. He thought it was just the cutest thing ever,
Yeah.
But that was really, really cool that you guys did that.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not have purposefully done that. We just had a good laugh from it, but
how
cool.
We definitely want people to feel like whatever they're doing is cool.
Important,
and it's important, because it really is.
Yes.
That's the thing, is like, I've been an assistant a lot in my life.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's really easy to kind of just be like, oh, that's my assistant. But without an assistant, some of these businesses cannot run,
Yes.
And like, it is the people that behind the scenes, it's the smaller people that are often doing a lot of the major work. And so let's highlight them. Let's have them at these events as well.
Totally. Imagine how church would be without nursery.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember when I finally got to serve a nursery at church. And nursery, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, it's where you have everyone who's 18 months to about like 3-ish years, 3.5, something like that. They go and they take care of the children so that, this lady can go teach, or this lady can go just relax and, with all the other women and stuff. And I remember when I finally got called, I'm like, they do not get the praise they deserve. I'm like, this is so hard. I'm exhausted every Sunday.
They do. Yeah, they don't. They do not. They are amazing. And that kind of brings me full circle to my high school experience of like, when I went to this school where there was a lot of privilege and not a lot of diversity, I was unhappy. And then I moved to this place. So I have a really strong theory that I feel like that with diversity is where there is just much more happiness, and there is ability for people to grow more and learn. And so, and especially
diversity, especially with unification.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
With the thought, but here's the thing, birds of a feather flock together, right? So you are still going to flock to certain people, right?
Yeah,
like
you have more in common with.
You have more in common with, but there is value in like, okay, you can be in the same place with some of these same people, but let's put you at a table over here with someone different too.
Yeah. Totally.
And then when we're done networking, you can go back to, and that's kind of how my high school was. And what I did was I was at a really diverse school that it did have separation, but I, for some reason, was able to like kind of integrate in these little groups. And I feel like it made me a happier, better person.
1000%. In fact, I'm going to try to see if I can find this photo, and maybe I'll post it in this podcast. But my dad always refers back to this picture. I went to a similar high school, not to the white privileged, white / privileged one, because I didn't grow up with tons of money or anything. And so there's this picture of all of us sitting in the hot tub at our house. And it was this kid, white as can be, blonde hair, blue eyes. And then my best friend, who's half black, her boyfriend, who was the white kid. And then one of our other friends, who was Mexican, another one who was black. And then there's me, who's obviously very white too,
Yeah.
It was never a thought. We were all just super close friends. We were all
Yeah.
It was just never even a thought. I mean, there's so much of the race stuff today, but anyway, and you know, something else you guys said too that just kind of really stuck out to me is coming from the situation that I did. I think about this all the time. I so would have loved someone to have valued whatever it was that I had to offer. Yeah, I don't have money and I don't have connections. I don't have all these things, but I promise I can do what that person's doing. I promise, bring me into that situation. I can make that happen, you know? And it is who you know.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in a very different situation than how I grew up, it's like, yeah, we have all these connections, you know, I say we, my husband has these connections and I kind of tag along, let's be honest. But now it's like, oh, I see how easy it is to like make money. But when I was younger and I didn't have those connections and didn't have those privileges and stuff, it's like, it was so hard. So I love that you said that. I love that that's where your mind is.
Like you who are opening the gate for people.
Oh, I hope.
You know, the smaller business owners, because some people gatekeep, right?
Yeah,
and they don't want to, and I get it.
Let
There's
the underdog.
Yeah.
I'm like, heck no, I was the underdog.
Exactly.
I still am.
And, but even like, you know, the few conversations I've had with you, you're so willing to share what you have. And I think, and that's the kind of environment we want to foster at the Karl Malone Center.
So cool.
And she's done a really good job.
Yeah. So how did you get to the point of buying this entire gym? And it's huge.
It is. Yeah. I mean, a long story short, were you familiar with the XSI factory? It was open court. It's now where the Unique building is.
Oh yeah.
So that used to be just 15 basketball courts. It just used to be
I didn't know that.
Basketball
just right there at the point of the mountain.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was kind of before its time. I mean, there wasn't as much demand for court space back then as there is now. I think it would have probably thrived now.
Yeah.
But I was managing that facility at the time. This was back in 2014. I guess. And anyways, they ended up selling the building. They sold it to Unique. And it was the saddest thing because we had built our own little basketball club there and our volleyball club there. And all these kids, as they were walking out the doors, I mean, there's nowhere else for them to go play. And it was interesting because a guy that I didn't even know at the time, he came up to me and said, I want to build something similar to this and I want to do it in Lehigh. And he said, would you be interested in managing it for me? And I said, you know, I actually was pregnant with my son at the time. And I was like, well, let's just kind of see how things play out. And he called me about a year later and said, I've done it. I've built it, but I need you to come run it. And I just had my son and I said,
how cool to be in demand like that. I need a rock star like you to come run.
Well, I don't know that he knew a lot of it. I just knew he knew, you know, if we build it, people will come, right? And so anyways, I started working for him. It was awesome because I I did deal with it. And I was like, I have a 4-month-old that I want to bring with me. And he's like, you bring him with you every day. So my little boy was strapped to my hip and I started doing it. And about 6 months in, he came to me and said, this is a lot more work than I had thought. And if I can figure out a way to help you, would you be open to buying it? And I actually partnered with a volleyball guy at the time and we bought it together. And then since then, things have kind of changed as far as ownership, but with him.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just kind of been
But she survived COVID.
We did
which
survive
is like,
and when no one was allowed to play or touch the same ball.
Well, it was the craziest thing because we had to tarp the whole building. So when we first started it, because we had signed a big contract with volleyball and they had paid in advance. And we still had to get through with some of the events. And so we would do literally like one on one side and one on the opposite side, and we'd have to tarp the whole building. And it was just crazy. But
so with buying the gym, what's been your goal with this?
So it really, my biggest goal is I absolutely love kids, and just having the gym full of kids there's nothing that makes me happier. So cool. I started coaching when I was 18, and that was really when I found my passion. That I was like, this is what I love to do, and I love being involved in the community and just having the gym full of youth, having them have a place to go, having them have a part in their world. Sports did so much for me, and I don't know. I
can tell that about you actually, like, not like I'm like, I can read you. Like, nothing weird like that, but like you can tell when someone loves children, they're usually like a really good person.
Yeah.
And you can just tell what, like, how loving you are and stuff, that you just love children. I think that is such a cool thing. And do you guys do anything to help like less privileged children or anything like that?
So we actually have a basketball club that we started, and it's called AIM, and it stands for Achieve, Inspire, and Motivate. And I started that with the passion of we want everybody to have a place to play. So if you can't afford it, we're going to figure out a way to help you play.
That's so nice, because I know that gym was not cheap to buy.
No, no.
It's enormous.
And for a while, it was interesting. Before we were a nonprofit, I mean, we would just sponsor, we would just take the cost. And we had about 30 kids in our program last year that we covered the cost for. But this year, it was nice because we finally got our nonprofit done, and we've had a lot of businesses that have been so happy to donate to help kids play.
My goodness, that's
and so
cool.
yes, right now I think we have probably 25 kids or so that get to be a part of the program that we cover the fees for, and just help it so that everybody has a place. And
that is so cool. You'll have to actually, why don't you tell us right now how a business can get involved like that?
So yeah, I mean, basically what the sponsorship fees go to is their, everything. So it includes their monthly fees. It includes their travel. A lot of our national teams, it gets pricey just because travel is so expensive, and tournament fees are expensive. And so, we have our monthly costs, but then when you break it down to how much
you're not getting
pay,
a ton.
Yeah. And so the goal behind it is, anybody that sponsors, their money goes directly to helping pay their fees. And that
really
includes
cool.
flights, that includes hotels, that includes getting them places.
I love stuff that goes directly like that, because it seems like so many places that are always asking for donations. I'm like, you have a CEO, you have a COO, you have a CFO. How much of this is actually going to a child?
Well, legally, I think they only have to do like 10%.
Yeah.
It's like a very small percentage of what they actually have to do as a nonprofit.
I didn't realize that, 10%.
Yeah, it's like a very small percentage.
And we just
Oh my gosh.
we just leave it separately, so then that way we can, just make sure.
That's so cool.
We have a couple kids that went to our last tournament, which was in Texas, and I mean, we were able to cover a couple $1,000s for each of them, because that included their flights, their hotel, their 3 nights food, everything. And so
That is so cool.
So it is cool, and I'm super grateful that we're now a nonprofit. So then it doesn't cost us so much. It was hard because at first we wanted to do it, but it gets so expensive to be able to afford it, and so it is super nice. And so many people have been so willing to make it happen. And
That is
it
so cool.
Really cool.
So I hope you don't mind, but the other Bree
Yeah.
had mentioned something about your mom. Is that something you're willing to share? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like my mom is the person that, she's the one that shaped me, right? And I think anybody that knows me now doesn't really know her, but people that knew me in the past knew how big of a part of my life she was.
Yeah.
So my mom actually, she struggled with infertility, and it took her 10 years to have kids, and I was the only baby that she was able to have. Oh, wow. And so my whole life, I was told that by her that I was her miracle baby, right? Mm-hmm. And so I don't know how, our relationship was we were very close. And so she was also like the definition, I feel like, of service. I mean, anybody that met her, she was just a beautiful person that loved and accepted anybody. And part of the reason why I wanted to do what I did is she just shaped me.
See where you got it.
Yeah. And she's just, yeah. So she ended up getting sick in 2011. And she had a disease called scleroderma. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's an autoimmune disease. And anyways, she passed away in 2015. So 5 days before Christmas. But it was...
And you were how old?
I was 26 at the time. But my little boy was 18 months old. So she got to meet him, which... he was her light, so it was super awesome to at least have her around for that. But
I'm so sorry, especially to be an only child. Like you and your mom would have been.
Well, and I think everybody, it's your mom, right? So everybody's like, but I feel like we had a unique relationship in that way, because it was always just her and I. My dad traveled all the time, and I just feel like she was my person, my very best friend. And
I'm so sorry, but look at your attitude, like the fact that I know it's probably hard, and you're not going to show the camera everything that you feel about it, obviously, but the fact that you're taking all the good that she did and trying to incorporate that into your own life and helping these kids, that's so amazing to me. Like, I don't know, like, because, it's like you lived in the high school similar to, what I did too. And I don't know, there's just so many times that there's a lot of my friends, I wish they had access to something like that. I think it would have helped them a lot to stay busy.
Yeah. Well, and that's like, Bree does a really good job of, a lot of people want to own a gym. We actually have been to a few networking events, and it was funny because in our group, one guy was like, they're like, what is your dream, job? And he's like, to own a gym. And I turned around, I was like, he has no idea.
No idea.
Like the amount of drama that she alone has to handle with tournaments and parents and privileged kids and whatever, and she takes it with such stride. I know she cries often on weekends because they are vicious and mean, and they have no idea how wonderful she really is. And like, even during the day, the gym is open a lot for people to use, and we go as women and we play basketball together, and that's all because of her. And we bring our kids, and it's a place that none of us pay to be there. We get to go and we get to play basketball. Our kids get to play around, and she's provided that opportunity when she could easily be making a lot more money and be in a much different place than she is financially. But she doesn't do that because of who she is, and that she wants to just.
Well, let's get you guys sponsors then, because that's really cool. The Karl Malone Training Center in Lehigh. And I've been there, and like I said, I've been to the events that you throw, and they're pretty amazing. And also, I kept looking around too. I'm like, well, I know they had to pay for this, and they had to pay for, like, who's paying for this? Like,
right now, our events are not sponsored, and that is a huge thing, just because it is coming out of the Karl Malone pocket right now. And
let's get them sponsored.
But yeah, we would love for any business. I feel like we have something to offer. I know we do. I know that we can provide that. And I know businesses are looking for it, right? They're looking for partnerships and opportunities to give money into the community. And that is what we have at the Karl Malone Training Center, is we have that ability to do that. Right now we have 10,000 people in and out of our doors on a weekly basis.
Oh, wow.
It is full.
Yeah, it's full. And so there's parents with their kids, and, and then you've got your coaches, and then now we have these business networking events that we're bringing people in the doors. So there is opportunity for your business to be highlighted at the Karl Malone Center.
And we have a diverse crowd, which I really like.
Oh, you really do.
What's cool, for example, like a typical Saturday for me, just so you can kind of understand, like see it, is Saturday mornings we typically start with a volleyball event. So we'll do a volleyball event from 8 to 5. And then from 5 to 7, we move in and do indoor soccer. And then so we have a total different group. Wow. And then we host LDS single dances in the evening. And so on a Saturday, you're getting such a diverse crowd.
Wow,
2,000 different people, but it's not the same people, right? So it's not like you're getting the same consistent people. You're
just giving and giving.
Getting a unique crowd.
Because I know those singles dances aren't usually like
they're
paid.
not super.
Well, they're not making a lot of money.
Yeah.
We're doing a family dance. I don't know when this is going to air, but on March 31st, May 31st.
May 31st. Okay.
We're doing a silent disco night,
really fun.
And we
Is
have
that with the headphones?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
And we have laser tag that's going to be there too, just in case people who don't love to dance they can do laser tag.
And it's a family.
But we want the families to come, and we want the teenagers to come, because we want them to be doing something productive. So we're working on a good, like, fun giveaway for the teenagers that come, so that they'll be there versus out doing other things, And that's kind of, I think, the direction we want to continue down, is like these events, like fun family events, and places for kids to come when they're not doing their sports at night. And, hopefully we can plan more of these events along with sponsors that can help do that, make that happen.
Cool. You guys are both incredible people. And I'm not just saying that because cameras are on. I'm so serious. You guys really are. Well, I already said that to you the other day anyway. So now you know I'm not lying. I just think you guys are awesome. And look at the good that you're doing. And you're sacrificing your time, your energy, your money to help people who aren't as privileged, and to bring people together who may not have the opportunities that others do. So thank you so much for doing that and for being here. Is there anything else you guys want to share?
No.
I
actually am like a woman of many words, but I'm very afraid that the filter is going to stop, and I'm just going to continue.
I know, because even in your text earlier, you're like, I could share this or this, but I'm not. No, that might be offensive. No, that might be. I'm like,
people that hang out with me are always like, there's a good story when you hang out with Bree, but I'm afraid about the internet. What the internet can say.
Don't be afraid. You know what I've learned in the past little bit of doing this is people are going to hate me no matter what I say, no matter what I wear, no matter how I say it. So now I'm just like, I'm just going to say it.
You're just going to say it anyways. I know.
But thank you so much for being here. You both are incredible people.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us a part of it.